Sports Professor Rick Horrow, Beyond the Scoreboard, the show that goes beyond the trillion-dollar business of sports, deal-making, marketing, legal, business, all of the issues that dominate the headlines beyond the X's and O's of the court. Frankly, if you want to see all 15 to watch in one place, Power of Sports 5 and the Tech Top 5, at Rick Horrow, horrowsports.com, NBC Washington, all of the NBC affiliates. Subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Audio Boom, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes feed, all of the places wherever decent content is sold, even good content is sold. We have March Madness. We have a company that is leading the way toward vertically integrated media and their people's perspective. Major League Baseball opening. Can't wait. Let's get to March Madness first. What are we watching? About $830 million of ads. That's what we're watching. The NCAA tournament this year, AT&T spending that amount of money, making it the top advertiser for the entire tournament. Other top 5 ad spenders, GM at about $800 million, Coca-Cola at $400, Capital One at $361, AB InBev at $294. Representing a thick slice of the March Madness advertising pie, Pizza Hut last week outlined its activation plans around the NCAA tournament. Yum Brand subsidiary in its 3rd year as the official pizza of March Madness. Geico, Uber Eats, bought time across all networks showing tourney games. Insurance and tech, think Amazon, Google, Apple, increased their spending, obviously. The Crown Ad Jewel, a new spot. Buffalo Wild Wings highlights the alleged 30% increase in vasectomy procedures during the tournament by way of the Jewel Stool. According to Adweek, the special bar stool has a cooling apparatus that allows basketball fans who got the snip to have some relief in their nether region. I won't touch that, but how about that? What they're wearing. Nike, once again, the top shoe and jersey provider in the tournament, despite losing some of its market share from last year. Nike and its affiliated...
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, more Rick Horrow, the Sports Professor. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard with Rick Horrow. We pick up right where we left off.
Jordan brand outfit 40 first-round teams, both jerseys and shoes, down from 47 last year. Under Armour saw the biggest jump, climbing to 17. UA's number represents a significant increase after dropping from 12 last year to 10, and after steadily climbing from 6 in 2015. Adidas earned a slight bump from 10 schools in 2018, sponsoring 11 this season. The hot pink Nike Jordan sneakers Michigan wore in the first 2 rounds. The tradition started last year during the Wolverines' run to the national championship game against Villanova and appears to be working again. The team advanced to the Sweet 16, facing Texas Tech in Anaheim. How about those of you, which I understand is everybody except one, who's got a busted bracket? Turner Sports has an app for that. According to hashtag Sports, Turner now released an Instagram augmented reality game for March Madness. The AR game lets college basketball fans work out their March Madness frustrations by shooting virtual baskets. One of the most engaging activities associated with the NCAA men's college basketball tournament is filling out brackets, obviously, but as a Sweet 16 looms, that also means millions of busted brackets already as underdog teams triumphed in the first 2 rounds. The game uses augmented reality, which overlays digital images on the real views of smartphone cameras to show the game on any mobile device through the use of Instagram stories. To air their frustrations, players have 20 seconds to throw as many crumpled pieces of paper representing their broken brackets as they can into a digital trash can. March Madness presents a massive month-long opportunity for brands to engage with fans, and Turner leveraging tech to connect with discouraged fans who've had a rough March this far, like everybody. Going to Minneapolis, The music series there locked in more talent for the three-day event. The Chainsmokers to headline the AT&T Block Party on April 5. The Jonas Brothers anchor the second night, previously announced Katy Perry taking the spotlight for the Jam Fest on April 7. Scheduled around Final Four weekend and the NCAA National Championship game, the March Madness Music Series, one more effort by the NCAA and its media to brand partners to turn the basketball mega event into a local fan experience, rivaling the Super Bowl and pro sports all-star games. Well, there's other issues that go on. There's business that goes on in the context of March Madness. The AAC signs a $1 billion media rights deal with ESPN. They've agreed to a deal with $1 billion at stake over the next 12 years for the broadcast rights to nearly all of the live sports programming, save a small package of men's basketball games that air on CBS and Navy football games controlled by CBS Sports Network. The new deal, which goes into effect prior to the 2020 college football season, will pay the schools $84 million per year, more than 4 times the amount they currently collect under the terms of the expiring agreement with the company. The conference began renewal talks on its package with CBS, set to expire in 2020, and ESPN's decision to tie up the long-term AAC deal is risky, considering the conference's member schools aren't tied to a grant of rights restricting their ability to leave the conference. The network did negotiate a conference composition clause that hedges against financial losses should the conference's top teams leave before the deal expires. But let's put it this way. The NCAA does a lot more than just promote March Madness during March. Vertical integration among media and a whole bunch of other stuff is front and center. And we thought we would expose one of the new emerging companies called ISM Connect. It's the world's first fully integrated end-to-end smart network of fan engagement technology. Software harnesses machine learning to automate and improve security and to provide venue access control for venues. The deployment of some of the largest venues in the world. They've got deals with minor league baseball, a naming deal with NASCAR, and the like. And to talk about it, but also the relevance to why this is critical in the context of March Madness, television, globalization, vertical integration, snackable content. You hear it all, but let's hear it from the perspective of one of the emerging new growth companies, Jeff Josephson, one of the top people as far as the company is concerned, not only on the roster, but client development as well. Been with the company since its early stages and can talk extensively about vertical integration and all of the topics we discussed, heading into the final stages of March Madness, but applicable year-round across the broad spectrum of media. Here's Jeff.
Sports Professor Rick Horrow, beyond the boardroom, inside every major sporting event as well. Beyond the box score, beyond the scoreboard, you talk about it, trillion-dollar business of sports, legal marketing, deal-making, and there's a company that's really burst onto the scene from a content, stadium, signage, scoreboard, perspective, security, whole lot of stuff, and the founding and evolution of the company goes way beyond the naming of the facility, ISM Raceway in Phoenix. But the guy to talk about it, Jeff Josephson, Managing Director of ISM Connect. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Rick? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, there are a lot of issues today in the content space, but to the extent it's possible, because you are so diverse, give us the elevator speech about ISM Connect.
Sure. ISM Connect is a digital media company that provides smart digital signage for live venues. And a live venue could be anything from a NASCAR track to a minor league baseball stadium, conference or trade show, to smart retail. So it's really any place where people are coming, spending time, hopefully spending money, where we can use digital engagement to provide the highest return for brands and the venues, and provide a really rich data set that comes with that. And I think that's really our differentiating factor, is that everything that we do is data-driven, whether it's on the marketing side to engage fans on behalf of a brand, or on the access control and security side, where we're able to provide key points of data to assist venues with providing a safe and effective environment for their fans and their VIPs.
A lot of this, Jeff, is to really find the niche in the consumer and business world where media and data is moving almost faster than companies' ability to evolve and solve it. You guys, as I've seen, are tremendously nimble and flexible. But talk a little bit about how long you've been in existence and how you've gotten started and what your growth pattern is.
Sure. So ISM Connect as an entity is going on 2 years old. We're really proud of how far we've come in 2 years, because a lot of people would say, wow, 2-year-old company. But the pieces that came together to form ISM were each about 7 years old. And we took, a couple of different core competencies of 3 different companies and put them together to really build something that we don't see much, direct competition out there yet. And that's really exciting to be in a space like that. So, a big part of what we're doing is providing something new. Comes with its challenges, of course. But being data-driven and providing data back to brands and venues in a way that they can quickly take it in and figure out how to use it is just something that we've found a real core competency in.
Let's put some details on the generalities. ISM Raceway had its formal renovation debut in Phoenix last November. Rave reviews about the facility itself and the technology. But tell us kind of why the company named the facility and what's so special about the benefits that you deal with as far as NASCAR is concerned.
Sure. So the ISM Raceway project was a unique opportunity for us. We're always looking to partner with the people that are looking to.
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, more Rick Horrow, the sports professor. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard with Rick Horrow. We pick up right where we left off.
Learn from the past, but build for the future. And that's exactly what they did at ISM Raceway. They said, all right, we have a track with a rich history, a facility that needs, a pretty good uplift, and let's design it from the fan backwards. And what they built is a best-in-class facility. It's for sure the best facility on the NASCAR circuit at this point. I spent the weekend there this past weekend. One of the greatest parts of the facility is that you really can experience all different types of interactions on foot without having to walk, 100 miles all over the place. The putting in the new fan tunnel that goes under the grandstands really shortens the walks. They've condensed all of the activation areas into a manageable size space. They've provided 5 or 6 different kinds of viewing opportunities for the modern fan. Because one of the things that we've learned is that, whether it's NASCAR or any other sport, sitting in a grandstand seat is not for everyone. And certainly this younger generation wants more of an opportunity to move around, to be social, and to turn the event into a social engagement, and to be able to share that with the outside world. And ISM Raceway provided that opportunity for us to be involved in the technology conversations and the engagement conversations, and a way to demonstrate the advantages of our technology when properly deployed in a way that fans want to experience them.
And so it's not just that, but it's also the content side of it. To talk a little bit about that, the screens that you have at all of the NASCAR tracks, and we'll segue into minor league baseball on that, but content is king, isn't it?
Content is king, and it's both king in form and in form factor. So one of the things that we've learned, and it's been very interesting talking to brands about it, is that the type of content that people want to see when they're at a live event is not a Super Bowl commercial. There's a time and a place for that type of, high quality, expensive production content. But when people are at the actual event, a lot of what they react well to is more of the social media style video. One of the things we've also found is that shorter form content and more pieces of it works really well. So when a fan experiences the screens at a NASCAR event or at minor league baseball or even at a trade show on our network, they're going to see about 2/3 of it in the form of fan engagement and programming. So we're giving them everything from schedules and announcements and ticket renewals, all that kind of standard stuff, to really engaging content. So, for example, in NASCAR and minor league baseball, we have tons of pieces around the teams and the athletes, some behind-the-scenes footage and interviews, as well as sponsored programming around everything from charitable opportunities to other events going on during the main event. And then only about 1/3 of it is really advertising. And what we're finding is that most of our advertising is really drifting towards strong call to action, following a strong fan engagement piece that isn't necessarily just a commercial for the brand. So a great example of that was some of the stuff that we ran in NASCAR at Daytona this year. We had brands that were running content really about like the NASCAR experience and some of the drivers, and sponsored by a brand. And what we found is that if you have a product that's pretty well known, you don't need to spend your 15 valuable seconds educating the consumer. You can just help them associate your product with something tangible in their life that they can easily relate to quickly, and then provide them an action that they can take on behalf of your brand. And when we put those together in the right combination, our conversion rates are not like anything that's seen anywhere else in the digital out-of-home world.
And so you have some data. I know we talked about it before, and especially kind of fresh perspective, because as we know, the NASCAR race Kyle Busch won was last weekend as we tape this. So give us some ideas of how you validate all of this and what your data says.
Sure. So one of the things about our data is that it's all based on what the cameras on our screens are seeing in real time. So we're not capturing people's faces and looking them up out on the internet. What we are doing is using some algorithms to understand gender, age, dwell time, and most importantly, eye contact time with the screens. So in our general networks that go out again at minor league baseball, trade shows, NASCAR, we're running this same technology where we can give brands an easy to digest report on about a 24 to 48 hour delay, where they can understand who was in front of their screens, how long they spent with the content, and what other opportunities they had to see content in the time that they were there. So when I can go to a brand and say, listen, you ran a 30-second spot or a 15-second spot, and your average view time was around 2 seconds, then we can help them make some changes to their content. But by having a quality call to action at the end, I can also say, your view times were really good, but we didn't see the follow-through that we wanted on your call to action to help fans onboard themselves into your brand. And we have some really good case studies around how to help them tweak that in a way that, doesn't cost a ton of money, but is more effective for that audience.
And obviously it evolves as you deal with different clients. Speaking of which, I know you made an announcement a couple of months ago in getting ready for the opening of the minor league baseball season with a relationship from the top down at minor league baseball that's servicing 40 or more clubs. Talk about that a bit.
Sure. Yeah, we're really excited about minor league baseball. The stadiums are coming online on a daily basis. We will have 25 online for first pitch, so around about April 2nd or 3rd. And that is our first large-scale permanent deployment in a league. So there are about 140-something minor league baseball teams, I believe, and we're going to be installed in over 70 over the next 2.5 years. So we're really excited about that. Having Allegiant as a core sponsor, along with some other accounts, including Applegate, has really been a great start for us. The teams are latching onto it. They're excited about it. And we're pretty confident that the fans are going to enjoy this new type of engagement. Because one of the things that we know about minor league baseball that's somewhat similar to NASCAR is that the percentage of time spent on site in their seat versus going to some of the other fan engagement opportunities is a great ratio. So, one of the numbers that we hear thrown around is about 2.5 innings at a minor league baseball game, which means that, we probably have 5 or 6 innings of time and opportunity to engage with the new fans. So we're really excited about it. We think that this is going to provide a high-quality opportunity for engaging the fans for brands. And, we're looking forward to seeing how first pitch goes.
You know what it sounds like to me as well. We're with Jeff Josephson, the managing director of ISM Connect, is that the content that you're describing and then getting reactions to and accountability from transcends different audiences. You've got the NASCAR audience whose demographics are somewhat compatible, but in many ways different than the minor league audience. And what you're doing, it sounds like you're tailoring content solutions and technology solutions to each of these clients, which sounds like it can be a significant advantage.
It is, Rick. One of the things that we do, and I keep going back to data, is all of our decision making is data based. So a lot of times, even in today's world with some of the digital ticketing opportunities, we really don't know exactly who is there. Teams know a lot based on who bought the tickets, but if I go out as a 43-year-old male and buy 4 tickets, a team is counting me 4 times. And what we're saying is we don't really care who bought the tickets. We're going to tell you who engaged with the content. So we're seeing things like a 52% female audience in front of our screens almost every weekend for the last 4 weekends in NASCAR. And as I walk around the track and, as we learn about some of the ticket data, that's not what is believed to be there. But we almost don't care because that's what we're attracting to the content on our screens. And what we're also finding is that, the overlap is likely to be very significant between minor league baseball and NASCAR, but we're not going to know until, we get about a week into the season, and then we'll see. Because one of the things that we do know is that different types of content attract different audiences. So we need to make sure that we're looking at our own data on a weekly basis to make sure that the content that we're providing, not just the branded content, but the programming, hits that audience that we're seeing in front of the screens.
So bottom line here, too, is just give us a sense of why it's important for whether you're a corporation or a team or a league to have access to this unique data.
Because the shift has already started with brands, and we're here to capitalize on that. Brands are now starting to make much smarter decisions because there is data around where they're going to take their valuable dollars and spend them. And if teams and leagues want to attract those dollars, then we're already seeing them wanting to evolve to find ways to get that data, to get it in the hands of themselves and their brands, do it in a timely fashion, but also, most importantly, in a way that is easy to understand for now. One of the things that I am highly confident in is that a year or two from now,
we're going to take a short break, but when we return, more Rick Horrow, the sports professor. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard with Rick Horrow, the sports professor. We're going to rewind our featured interview, reset the show a little bit, and pick up from there. Here's Rick Horrow.
In front of the screens.
So bottom line here, too, is just give us a sense of why it's important for whether you're a corporation or a team or a league to have access to this unique data.
Because the shift has already started with brands, and we're here to capitalize on that. That brands are now starting to make much smarter decisions because there is data around where they're going to take their valuable dollars and spend them. And if teams and leagues want to attract those dollars, then we're already seeing them wanting to evolve to find ways to get that data, to get it in the hands of themselves and their brands, do it in a timely fashion, but also, most importantly, in a way that is easy to understand for now. One of the things that I am highly confident in is that a year or two from now, the data set that we're providing back is going to look nothing like it does today. The demographic data that we provide with age and gender and dwell time and the eye contact is great, and it's already putting us in a class of our own. But I am very sure that the world is going to catch up to us on that. So we're working tirelessly to come up with new data sets that we can capture and ways that we can drive value for brands. And that's never going to stop, and I think that's how we stay ahead.
So that great segue. You could host this. Last question, which is all very relevant and tied in. Where's the industry evolving, and most important, where is ISM Connect 5 years from now?
5 years from now?
Yes, sir.
Well, the beauty of that question is that I don't actually think I have to answer it, because I don't know that anybody knows where we're all going to be 5 years from now in this type of space. It's evolving so fast, but I am very confident that ISM Connect is going to be a leader in this space for the next N number of years to come, because we've got such a good head start and because we have such a solid team here. I think we're going to be seeing even better technologies that provide a more engaging experience for that right targeted audience, and making it so that each fan can have their own experience with it in a way that's relevant. Right now we're helping brands hone in on the broader group that's there, but a lot of our efforts are around how do we then target the people that we see, so that we're giving them what they want and what's relevant. And it's not done in a sort of invasive way, but by using some logic and some market trends that we see, we're able to come up with ideas for ways to engage with these fans that just aligns with the things that they're already doing.
Incredibly interesting media perspective. Jeff Josephson, managing partner, ISM Connect. Rick Horrow, speak with you soon.
Well, Jeff Josephson, obviously product development, business development, but also certainly knows his stuff in the media world. But more importantly, the idea of these kinds of companies that are a step ahead of everybody will certainly be front and center, not only for March Madness, but heading to the Masters and everywhere else. Mega events are exposed and new content is revealed. Well, let's talk baseball. It is opening week, and just ahead of opening day, the league has signed a 4-year contract extension with T-Mobile, continuing a relationship with one of its most prominent sponsors through 2022. The company begins its alignment with MLB in 2013 and has been successful since, including other deals like a 25-year deal to take over the naming rights for what was Safeco Field in Seattle. T-Mobile last renewed its MLB sponsorship in 2016, will give customers a free year of MLB.TV out-of-market package and premium features on the MLB At-Bat mobile app. And once again, the baseball-savvy telecom brand holds a fan contest for a free trip to the All-Star Game in Cleveland. And guess what? Just ahead of the season, the Bryce Harper stuff dies down, the Manny Machado stuff dies down, but how about Mike Trout? Biggest contract in professional sports history, we know that. 12-year deal worth more than $430 million, smashing previous records and tying up the finances of that franchise for years. Obviously, the owner thinks it's worth the risk. But keeping Trout costs Angels owner Artie Moreno, and get this stat, more than twice as much as the $184 million he paid for the entire franchise in 2003. Well, play ball indeed. And as we get into opening day, let's not forget some of the charity issues. Astros pitcher Justin Verlander and Kate Upton unite service dogs with veterans. It's named Adopt, Rescue, Heal, and has two principal components. Trains rescue dogs to become service dogs and places them with veterans, adding their transition to civilian life. The Detroit News says the first 4 veterans received their mixed breed dogs last week. The Astros honoring the men at their canine companions before Wednesday's spring training game against the Yankees. And back in 2017, Verlander and Upton married. Adopt, Rescue, Heal is another source of marriage between the couple's individual philanthropic efforts. Upton's Grand Slam Adoption Pet Rescue Charity and Verlander's Wins for Warriors Foundation aiding veterans. Major celebrities in their own rights, power couple match dogs, and veterans equally in need of one another. Really good stuff to remind us that baseball isn't only about sticks and balls. It's also about TV, relevant to the discussion we've had with Jeff Josephson early on. MLB TV added Amazon Prime to its channel roster just in time for opening day. They continue to push into the digital sector. MLB.TV package provides regular season out-of content, $24.99 per month. First launched in late 2015, the Prime Video channels pulled in an estimated $1.7 billion in revenue last year, more than double year over year. And it seems to be a win-win for both involved to bring in revenue and have more fans on the platform. And then another example of Major League Baseball creativity. They secured Rocket League for a content deal with a baseball-branded fan pack. It'll allow gamers to customize their own virtual car with cap toppers, flags, and player banners for all 30 MLB teams. Sports Pro says Rocket League will also create a baseball rocket boost feature to enhance the performance of the cars. The activation will be available Rocket League's community of more than 56 million starting opening day, making the fan pack available for purchase for $3 in time for start of the season. MLB Commissioner Manfred admitted that esports isn't its strongest sector in marketing, yet something very much on their minds, of course it is, and expect to see more small moves like this arriving with more frequency, as currently MLB the only major U.S. sports league without its own gaming strand, as the NBA, NHL, NFL, and MLS already on board. Good luck to the baseball season. Let's shift around to the NFL. Obviously, it's very important timing because they begin their spring meetings at the Biltmore in Phoenix. Owners and execs gather through Wednesday to address typical league matters, the media, and a vote on series of potential news changes and rule changes also on the agenda. The owners will hear several new rules proposals aimed at providing instant replay, along with another that seeks to give both teams a possession in overtime and eliminate the OT coin toss. 13 current and former players participating: Larry Fitzgerald, Russell Wilson, just a couple. An unavoidable topic at the meetings: Patriots owner Robert Kraft, who on Saturday apologized for allegations that he solicited prostitution at a Florida massage parlor, and his arraignment is March 28. He may ultimately escape serious legal jeopardy, but will likely face some disciplinary action from the NFL under Roger Goodell's personal conduct policy for conduct detrimental to the league. Obviously, stay tuned. Not to be done by the Final Four, the NFL at the same time with the Nashville Convention and Visitors Bureau talked about how the draft will be a major entertainment event. Free outdoor concert with Dierks Bentley. Tim McGraw has one on April 26. St. Jude Rock and Roll Marathon, a half marathon sponsored by Oikos 000. The passionate fan base and the iconic location ensure a unique experience that's unlike anything the fans have ever seen, said Peter O'Reilly, the executive VP of Club Business and League Events. Nashville, obviously a natural fit for a music fest, and it's hard to imagine that Vegas won't try to top the fan entertainment experience next year when Sin City hosts the draft less than a year away. And we talked about charity in the context of baseball. How about football? Former Bears cornerback Curtis Tillman now rows across Lake Michigan to support childhood cancer research. His plan is to build the boat and then conquer his fear of water to complete the task. How about that? And according to the Chicago Tribune, he's never built anything before like this, nor does he have any experience as a rower. Be careful. But he says he likes the challenge to row from St. Joseph, Michigan to Chicago. When Tillman undertakes his row in August, he'll be raising money for pediatric cancer research and to financially support families of child cancer patients. Tillman got the idea from marketing executive Jacob Beckley, who'd rowed solo across the lake 3 years before as a fundraiser for his foundation. And maybe Tillman's duo of building and rowing can inspire others to challenge themselves in order to make a difference. 2-word advice: be safe. Absolutely be safe. Finally, let's end on soccer. MLS signed a 4-year business betting partnership with MGM Grand Resorts International. The deal gives the casino giant non-exclusive rights to MLS data for fans and sports betting customers. The two parties also apparently collaborate on a free-to-play game expected to be released later this year. In addition, MGM set to be integrated into the league's digital and social channels, as well as field signage during nationally televised games. The partnership will also see the pair work to bring soccer events and other activations to Vegas, which could range from league meetings to esports. MLS, the fourth U.S. major league to sign a deal with MGM since the Supreme Court's decision to relax sports betting laws in the country. MGM also already holds partnerships with the NBA, the NHL, and MLB, along with agreements with a handful of individual teams. The company's deal with MLS means that the NFL is the only major U.S. sports league yet to sign a betting partnership. A couple other soccer issues abroad. Spanish top-flight soccer club Barcelona reached an agreement to see NBA star Pau Gasol becoming the club's ambassador, strategic advisor, and partner in the U.S. He currently plays for the Bucks, but he'll begin his career with Barcelona's basketball team before moving to the U.S. The 2-year deal allows Barca to use Gasol's image in the U.S. market to establish joint charity programs, and it's the only example of a near constant crossover now between global and U.S. sports teams. It's the only example of an NBA guy, but certainly not the only latest example between these sports. Look for more of these sports in the future. And finally, soccer and...
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, more Rick Horrow, the sports professor. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard with Rick Horrow. We pick up right where we left off.
South Florida, by the way, Miami-Dade judge upheld a referendum approved by Miami voters over David Beckham's proposed Inter-Miami CF Stadium and commercial complex. The decision preserves the results of a November referendum in which 60% of the voters authorized city administrators to negotiate a 99-year lease with the MLS team's ownership to develop Miami Freedom Park. The $1 billion stadium, hotel, office park, and commercial campus will be built on 73 acres of city-owned land, currently Mel Reese Golf Course. The team will also build an adjacent public park, and the expansion of pro tennis and the anticipation of hometown MLS action are moves gratefully welcomed by Miami sports fans. As the Dolphins and Marlins continue to struggle short-term, everybody hopes they regain past glory. And finally, this is the biggest story of the year, I think. A 5-year-old racing pigeon named Armando has been sold for $1.5 million, more than 3 times the world's record. Courtesy of Axios Sports, the pigeon industry insiders say a half dozen Chinese enthusiasts were responsible for the huge sums being paid in recent years, races being increasingly competitive and cutthroat. 7 of Armando's offspring were also auctioned for an average price of roughly $25,000 each. So even though he's nearing retirement age, poor Armando, he could have highly profitable breeding years ahead of him. Good for Armando. The sport is not without tar in its feathers. There's a huge pigeon racing cheating scandal in Shanghai last year. And yeah, we know this is completely for the birds, but not for Armando. How about that? You got to tune in for the end of the show every week because you get stuff like that. We'd like to thank Jeff Josephson and ISM Connect as a great emerging company, but incredible content as we are taking the next step into March Madness and Final Four. Like to thank Tanner Simpkins and Dan Martin for helping put the show together. And we'd like to thank you all for listening and watching. Hope your brackets aren't completely busted. Enjoy March Madness this week, and join us next week when we go Beyond the Scoreboard.